I did the right thing in training you. This just proves it. I did the right thing.
But my dad taught me a code. A way to channel those urges.
Was there one final lesson where I said, go now, far and wide, and preach the code, my son? I don't think so.
It's over, man.
It is over when I say it is!
So Dexter Morgan is making a comeback with 2 new series. A prequel series, Dexter Original Sin, and a sequel series, Dexter Resurrection. As a longtime fan of the Dexter franchise, I was excited when news first broke, for the sequel far more so than the prequel. I'm generally the type who always prefers a sequel to a prequel, in large part because the fate of certain characters is already known. Take one of my favorite prequel series, Better Call Saul. That one was a prequel to Breaking Bad, and even when that one was announced, I initially had my doubts, because Breaking Bad was a show that, like Dexter, when these shows were at their very best, they succeeded in creating a level of intensity that was simply palpable. The inherent problem with a prequel series for a show that depends on intensity is no matter how dangerous the plight of certain characters, we know for certain they survive as key players in the original show. In the case of Dexter, that means no matter what happens to characters like Harry Morgan, or Deb, or Dexter himself, we already know they survive. Beyond that, in the case of Dexter, the idea of a prequel series just felt unnecessary, because in the original show, there were numerous flashbacks that touched on all the necessary key points. We learned about how Harry began planting the seeds of the code, taking Dexter hunting, teaching him the rules, and so on. We see Dexter's origin flashback, the idea that he was born in blood, and the revelation about his brother, too. We see Dexter make his first kill, and most importantly, we get a sense for the 2 most important relationships Dexter had in his formative years. Those, of course, being with Deb and Harry. Point here being, when I first heard of a Dexter prequel and sequel, I was far more excited for the sequel, but the idea of the prequel has been growing on me. For starters, Michael C. Hall will be narrating, which will make it inherently have the proper vibe. That alone is a good sign, because even when Dexter the show had passed its prime after season 4, most of it was still enjoyable because of Hall's terrific performance as Dexter, and the narration was always a big part of what made the show interesting, fun, and enjoyable. Then I heard news that Christian Slater was playing the part of a younger Harry Morgan, and I've always been a fan of Slater's acting, dating back to one of my absolute favorite films of all time, True Romance, where Slater brilliantly played the role of Clarence Worley. More recently, I also thought he was great in Mr. Robot. Beyond liking Slater as an actor, I think it's some damn good casting here. Slater has the style and mannerisms that I think pulling off Harry Morgan will come naturally to him. James Remar was wonderful in the role, and I am optimistic that Slater can likewise bring the same character to life with all of the accompanying nuance. On top of that, learning that Sarah Michelle Gellar will be a part of the prequel was something that summoned my inner nerd from her vampire-slaying days as Buffy. So it will be interesting to see how she is situated into the story. And oof, Madone, even Joe Pantoliano is set to show up. From the photos I've seen, the rest of the cast very much looked like the parts of their characters from the original. Since the prequel is apparently based on a young Dexter interning as a forensic analyst for the Miami Metro Police Department, we should see a lot of familiar characters in the familiar setting of Miami, which in addition to Hall's narration, should at the very least make it feel like a real Dexter vibe, so long as the cast can play the roles as well as they look the parts. This is especially true for Patrick Gibson, who is playing a young Dexter Morgan. A strong performance from him with the help of Hall's voiceovers could really make this work. All of my similar concerns about Better Call Saul, some of them played out. For example, we knew Saul and the others who survived into Breaking Bad were never really in any life-threatening danger, which will likewise be true for Dexter, Deb, Harry, and so on. But what made Better Call Saul work was that despite those inherent obstacles that come with the prequel territory, it still worked because there was an interesting story to tell. At the heart of it, I do believe that there is an interesting story to tell from Dexter's formative years in a way that complements Dexter, much in the same way Better Call Saul ultimately complemented Breaking Bad. I'm hopeful that Dexter Original Sin will tell the best of the unknown parts of the tale beyond the broad strokes from the prior flashbacks. And I'm hoping that they can tell it in such a way that it adds to the original while staying true to it. Staying true in ways that Dexter New Blood didn't necessarily stay true, such as the retcon with the ketamine taking place of the M99. That was a real head-scratcher, which felt deliberate, and yet a small shift in detail could have kept that aligned with the OG and true to form while still promoting Hall's band. That being said, I'm far more excited about the prospect of the sequel. Dexter New Blood had its fair share of flaws, but on the whole I thought it was enjoyable, and I still believe the new ending redeemed the franchise after the original subpar ending. I understand that I am firmly in the minority here, where in my experience, most fans strongly disliked both endings. And with that, the Dexter franchise has yet another chance at redemption. Third time's the charm? Dexter New Blood displayed a completely different Dexter Morgan, one who now constantly rejected the ideals of the code. Right out of the gate, Harry was gone, and Harry's absence represented the fact that Dexter was no longer driven by the code. Instead of Harry's code, he was driven by Deb's guilt. 10 years of sobriety was an arduous struggle for Dexter. It was difficult to the point that after nearly 10 long years without a kill, he was still checking off every single day on the calendar. We got a glimpse into Dexter's life since the season 8 finale. It took every fiber of Dexter's being to suppress his dark passenger. He tackled the omnipresent challenge with a daily routine, beginning each day with the morning ritual involving the majestic white buck. Every morning Dexter followed, providing him with the thrill of the hunt without the climax of an actual kill. And every morning ended in triumph, where he had the chance to kill the buck, but Dexter exhibited tremendous self-restraint. The routine got interrupted when Matt Caldwell killed the buck, and like an alcoholic having a drink for the first time in 10 years, Dexter cut loose and slipped up. Dexter wasn't adhering to the code here. He was basically an alcoholic having a relapse. Dexter didn't properly vet Matt. The only evidence he had of Matt fitting the code was hearsay from some broken down. And Dexter didn't meticulously follow the code and plan the kill. This was an impulse kill. The code didn't figure into the kill at all. Dexter was very sloppy and so ill-prepared that he had no idea how to dispose of the body, something that ultimately helped contribute to his own demise. All of this coincided with Harrison unexpectedly returning into his life after Dexter had already slipped up. The entire season, Dexter was secretly hoping and wanting Harrison to be just like him, despite his early false protests. Dexter wants Harrison to be just like him because that would give him an excuse to continue killing instead of going back into self-imposed hibernation. The chance to figuratively keep drinking after he got his beak wet. After all, if Harrison was just like Dexter, then Dexter would have no choice but to teach Harrison the code, just like Nutjob Harry first taught it to him back in the day. Dexter's drive here was selfish, and ironically, his desire to teach Harrison the code is, in itself, a violation of that very code. Something Dexter's inner Harry monologue stressed way back in the Miguel Prado story. Dexter was now driven by a desire to ignore his guilt and resume being a serial killer, and his best justification for doing so was the fabricated need to teach Harrison the code. None of the people Dexter killed or tried to kill in Dexter New Blood were about adhering to the code. Matt Caldwell was an impulse kill, and the attacks on Miles and Jasper were terribly planned and executed. Even killing Kurt wasn't an old-school following of the code, because he was only teaching Harrison to justify his own selfish desire to live his life as a monster. Harrison was his scapegoat to drink, But somewhere along the line, Dexter knew Harrison wasn't exactly like him, because if he truly believed that, he wouldn't have lied and gone out of his way to paint himself like a heroic vigilante out fighting for justice. Dexter was no hero. He didn't kill for any sense of honor. He killed because he was a sick bastard who enjoyed chopping people up. Even when Dexter killed Logan, that wasn't about the code either. At that point, Dexter didn't kill Logan and run off to escape. His primary objective wasn't about don't get caught. His primary objective was actually reuniting with Harrison. Dexter subconsciously realized that he had finally formed a true loving bond with someone, his son Harrison. And when Harrison forced a moment of self-reflection on his father, Dexter truly realized that he himself fit the code. Dexter didn't want to go on surviving in misery alone, trying to resist his urges to be a monster, and he realized he fit his own code. But even here, right to the end, Dexter was selfish. Or was it all actually a big, gigantic con? Seeing where the story goes from here could be very interesting. However Dexter survived, through luck or trickery or however, it will be interesting to see where his character goes from here, and if and how they can tie that into the Dexter prequel series. If they're clever, the themes in both shows should complement each other in some way, despite the events from both shows being separated by 30 years or so. Given the potential for Dexter Resurrection to have multiple seasons, as opposed to Dexter New Blood, which was planned as a one and done, that would almost certainly indicate that Dexter is back to his killing ways. Will he adhere to the code again, where his Harry monologue was his guiding spirit? Or will he continue to reject the Harry monologue as he did in New Blood? Which familiar faces might return, both from Dexter New Blood and of course from the original run as well? Will we finally get that showdown between Dexter and Batista? Lots of possibilities here. The most interesting thing about New Blood was the fact that during his 10 years where Dexter was fighting his urges to be true to himself, he proved that Harry was a complete and total nutjob all along, proving he didn't have to kill. And I believe that theme can be strongly related to what we get in both the prequel and the sequel. So what are your thoughts on Dexter Original Sin and Dexter Resurrection? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful night.
Son, there are people out there who do really bad things. Terrible people. And the police can't catch them all.
Damn it, Dexter. There are consequences to everything you do in life. Lose control, become powerless, and it's over.
Yeah, it's just
Do you think I want to teach you these things? This is the only way I know how to keep you out of an electric chair. This is about survival, Dex.
I did the right thing in training you. This just proves it. I did the right thing.
When Harry saw what I truly was, he was repulsed.
What's wrong? Are you okay?
Just stay away. Please. Stay away.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Tonight's the night. And it's going to happen again and again. Has to happen.
It is over when I say it is!